Okay, welcome everybody to another stream. I hope everything is working, but I think so. So today we'll be continuing this apocalyptic cityscape painting. We left off like this in the last stream. I kinda overlaid the Google Images reference thingy here a bit with with a kind of low opacity value, and now I think we will paint over this and hopefully get rid of some of the line drawing. This will be, I think, the first thing I focus on is getting rid of the lines in the city here in the background. So just gotta merge those two layers together, I think. But maybe can I delete this? Yeah. Just to okay, so still some issues here. Yeah, this looks okay. Still a lot of things which are pretty rough, but yeah, I think some of the textures work quite well with this abandoned look, so shouldn't be the worst. So let's merge this down and focus on getting rid of the sketch lines. I think the lines will blur a bit in each other, but maybe that's not really a bad thing. Just gotta watch. If I need some more clear separation, I will do that, but according to the Sumato effect, the lines should blur together in the background anyways. So I don't think this will be a huge issue. I do have to watch out though to keep the plane separation intact when I'm doing this here now. I think especially here it's kind of visible that there is a danger that this gets lost. I have to keep an eye on that. I shouldn't overdo it with the detailing here, because first of all, I already have so many details here. It's pretty easy to overdo. The thing is, with the erasing of the sketch lines, yeah, I could totally just have hidden the layer for the sketch in the first stage, but I tend not to do this because I get this really nice plane separation, and having to recreate this usually takes a lot more time than to just erase what I don't need in this merge down, in the merge down layer. Yeah, I think this will work just fine with the Sumato effect in the background, so we don't need like a huge amount of plane separation between like the buildings and the background here. It's fine as it is, I think. Also, welcome to the stream. I hope you enjoy it. Today we'll be tackling this painting again. So I think since I'm now really concerned with details and stuff, it could be a bit tedious, I think. But then again, I never was a person who really enjoyed doing this huge detailing work, but then with Twitch, yeah, it kind of convinced me to try this and give this a go. And since this is concept art for a video game, I also have an incentive to finish it and not to lay it down half finished like I usually do. I'm pretty sure I would have thrown that in a bin a long time ago, but I didn't, and I don't think that's a bad thing. Man, what is it about those Photoshop brushes? I mean, this is the usual, I don't even know how they call them, chalk brush. And even here in Affinity, it works quite well. Maybe this needs some more? Maybe not. Yeah. Turns out better than I thought here. I mean, it still is a lot of work, but if you're gonna tackle like those huge paintings, they just require work. Nothing you can do to change that. I think before we go any further with this, I'd like to zoom back and look if everything is coming together properly, because in this perspective it looks fine, but sometimes you are getting a bit colorblind in detailing and everything looks okay from one angle, but as soon as you change that, everything kind of falls apart. So it's very important to step back and re-evaluate your tonal decisions. And I will do that any moment now. Just get those small details right. And I do need some form of before, like I think this could serve as that. Yeah, I think that works pretty fine. It is better, and I just have to do that for everything. With this one, it really blends very strongly to the background. I might have to check if that really is what I want. Should be a hint of shadow here. Something like this. Maybe tone that down a bit, maybe not as much. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Maybe this. I think it'll do the trick. I think the trick here is to accentuate the bluish hue of the atmospheric perspective, but still keep the warm yellow tones. As I said, I think it works better than expected. I thought this would be like very hard to get it looking right, but at least here in the background it works pretty good, gotta tell you. I gotta maybe revisit that, because the blue is kind of very strong. Maybe it just works that way. I don't know. Yeah, with those lines I should definitely have erased them earlier. Now it's a bit tedious. Also, I think the greenish tint doesn't really work so well here. The greenish tint is here too, even without it. Okay. So, yeah, I'm not really sure if I'm gonna keep this. I might have to revisit those like dune or mountainy stuff in the background. Also, I'm not sure if I'm darkening this too much. Yeah, it's very dark. Okay. So, rather pick a color like this here. No, I don't want to create here an upward tangent. I do think I need to finish the work with the sketch, removing the black lines first before I really get into deep depth with the color values. I think I will see them better once I get this done. I do want to keep some of the lines here a bit for like this destroyed look. I also want to add the flowers to this, but here again it's very easy to overdo. So I have to watch out with this. I'm tempted to darken this a bit as to create a contrasty area here. I think that kind of works. I mean, it's in no way perfect, but it gets rid of the sketching marks. And for the most part, I think it looks rather fitting. Yeah. I think I will change the color of this a bit. Even more. It might be a bit too much. Look at this. Yeah. This works just fine. Actually, that's quite an interesting technique, this toning down of the dark border, but not removing it completely. I haven't done this extensively, but I kind of like that quite a bit. It's an interesting technique. And that comes again to the thing I always say. Every time you do a painting, and even if you're not really happy with it, you learn something. It's those tiny details. You gotta watch out for them, because they will teach you a lot. actually think about my my little quote there, that you can learn from everything here, even if you're not really that happy with the end result. I think if one was to watch all my video on demands and analyze it, or be just really familiar with my streams, I think this will be like sort of a meme, because I tell that stuff over and over again, but then it's pretty hard to come up with like new things to tell every single stream. It's really not easy. I mean, I do talk about the process of the painting, but I feel like I can't do that the entire time without boring you. And I do think there is some truth to the thing with the learning. I really think it's a thing that could be repeated, because it's so damn important. Okay, I do want to check out how the whole thing is looking now. And I think it's okay-ish. I have to watch it with even more. I think it's okay. Maybe I gotta tone down the contrast a bit. But now it looks a bit contrasty for my tastes, but I could always slap down a bit of blue color after I'm done. Oh, for now, just continue. I don't want to have that zoomed in so much. Get one, yeah, that's 100%. That's better. It's strange. The whole day was very, very cold because our radiation system was kind of broken. It works now again, but now that it's working, it's pretty hot in here. I'm sweating a bit. with those like overly detailed stuff, you just have to be patient. Everything will sort itself out most of the time, but it's so much to do. It's a lot of work. I think for sure there's a technique where I can do this stuff a bit faster. But as I said, with those highly perspective stuff, you really can't make a lot of errors or else it will be noticeable. So I currently haven't found a good technique. Except just paint and paint again and hope for the best. In this zoom level, I'm really not too fond of the greenish tint of the background. That was because the Google thing had some trees in there, but this is a desert landscape, so I mean, it's not overly obvious, and I'm going for a very stylized looks anyway. So it might not matter that much, but I still have a feeling that I should just get the marquee tool and just raise the level of the yellows or something. I don't want to overpaint everything. This is clearly too much work and will not pay off. Something like using the marquee tool would be a kind of good idea, I think. I still think this might be a bit too much contrast here. Like 50%. Does that look better? Don't know. 30%? Yeah, I think that's okay. And not so sure about this one here. Something's off with the perspective there. Something darker. Even darker here, huh? Maybe. And this shouldn't be that light because it is in the shadow of these huge buildings, so this will be okay, I think. Even and now this is a bit too light. Okay, gotta tone that down, maybe even more. Nah, something like that. Actually, the whole thing gives me quite a bit of those Fallout vibes. I mean, Fallout is first and foremost the main IP when you think of post-apocalyptic things. You just have to be sure not to overdo it with those analogies. But I think having like this huge fungus stuff in the foreground will, or algae, cactus stuff, whatever, will add a bit of a different flavor to it, so that it's not too obvious where the inspirations came from. And they do came from different parts, not just Fallout. But it just gives me a bit of those vibes. What I'm saying. If you want, I can also zoom the image back a bit to see where we are currently working on. I will do that now. So currently I'm just detailing stuff, and this is the image. Let me just get that real quick. No, it doesn't work either. 38. I want to have that all on the image. It's a bit tricky to do. Something like that. It still doesn't fit. Anyway, this is where we are, and currently, as you can see, we have some sketching lines, and I will one by one erase them out. I like to do it that way as opposed to just dropping the layer, because I basically, when I do that, I get plane transitions for free, and doing these all without the pencil markings just on another layer is, at least for me, I think more tedious than just overpainting the sketch layer. But your mileage may vary. It's just how I do things. So let's get going. I mean, I know this is like very detail centric work. Actually, I did the construction of this painting also on stream, so if you are interested in that, I can recommend the video on demand. I will also I will upload all my my streams, my progress on YouTube. Haven't done it because yeah, it's difficult to explain. I have some stuff to do and I currently don't really have time for that, but I will do it. I've saved them all. And for now, Twitch provides the most recent. No, that doesn't work. The most recent streams, and this will be okay, I think, for most. But I want to have everything. Need some more shadows, yeah. Oh, I don't know here. It's a bit too bright, yeah. Let's turn it down. With this sandy areas before the buildings, I can always come back and improve them. As for now, I don't want to overcomplicate everything here, and will just focus on the main values of the painting. And I can come back to detailing as soon as the big picture is done, like I always do. Yeah, I don't know what's about this brush. I'm so in love with it. Could draw with it all the time. like that. Especially that ochre color here. With this green, on the other hand, I'm not too sure. Yeah, I think that works better. Okay, I should also have done those little windowy things before, because now it's a bit of a pain. This is... no, it's too dark. I'm not too sure what this value here. Yeah, I think it works. The windows are a bit confusing because here they are so very low, low contrast, and here they're pretty high. So let me tell you what, let's just get rid of those and maybe reintroduce them. I don't know, maybe just leave it dormant for now. I'm not too happy with this building, or these buildings. I think it has something to do with the perspective and tonal values. I will come back to this later. Basically, now I'm detailing, I can just pick my battles, and if something is not going too well, it's totally okay to leave it be and just focus on something else. I don't have to do everything in order. No need to do that. Okay, I do really need to accentuate that, I think. do need to redo the windows. It's just a question, how do I do it? I think it should be a bit darker, like this color here is not gonna cut it. Let's try a different approach, as this takes like forever. Okay, let's see. Let's just get something like this. Okay, this could work. I think if I'm gonna do that, I will darken this. Yeah, this looks about right. Hello, welcome to the stream. Hope you enjoy it. Currently I'm doing a sci-fi cityscape thingy for a video game. And as you see, I'm really into detailing now. You can already see the style I'm aiming for here in the background, but I do have to, yeah, basically paint everything. Oh, thank you so much for the follow, the Jesse Sparrow. Thank you. So, if you like what I'm doing here, like this concept arty landscape cityscape stuff, I'm doing a stream every Friday and every Sunday from 18 to 20 UCT +1, that is German time. Also, very sorry about my thick German accent. I hope you can live with that. It's very difficult to talk and draw at the same time, and then especially having to translate everything. Oh, you're from Poland too, then you exactly know what I'm talking about. Also, thank you so much for your nice feedback. Glad you like it. I actually started with this piece like I think 3 streams ago now, and I'm still doing it. Usually I tend to get bored with stuff, but since this is for a little video game project, I stuck around with it, and yeah, that's that. Oh, that's nice. That's cool. Also a nice typo. Do you draw too, Jesse Sparrow? No problem. I exactly know the feeling. It's actually pretty easy for me to like write and do science stuff in English, and also to talk if I have to concentrate, and also if I have like sometimes a script or something. It's easier that way. But with Twitch, the challenge arises from having to draw, say something meaningful, and having to translate that all at the same time, and that sometimes yeah, goes way over my head. Oh, you're a new streamer, so I have to check you out too. I will, let me just, one moment. Okay, now I followed you back. Yeah, if you're just starting, that's cool too. I also like if you want to have like advice on something, just feel free to ask. I mean, I'm still not the biggest artist in the world. I'm doing this purely as a hobby, and I don't consider myself that good. But still, if you have some questions, feel free to ask. Huge amounts of layers, yeah. As you see, I don't really do that. Let me see what layer it is. If you see this layer and I hide it, it's nothing. I mean, I did some photo bashing here, so I worked a bit with layers, and layers can be useful, but in a lot of ways I'm a bit of an old school type of guy. I like to have a bit of analog feeling in all my digital works, so working a lot with layers usually doesn't work for me. It also doesn't work because I get lost in a painting and I draw and then after like two hours I suddenly realize I painted on the wrong layer and everything is messed up, and so just don't do that. Yeah, I know exactly the feeling. So I think also if you're new to this whole art thing, or just or digital art, I'd say, cutting down on the layers isn't a bad thing. Like it will help you focus on the important stuff first. And I mean, it's a bit of a weird time because I'm doing this highly detailed stuff here, but when I started I just slapped color on it and messed around with it until it looked good, and I have one like adjustment layer here. I can really recommend that, like the black and white one. I constantly turn that on to see if everything is working value-wise, and you can see like a real clear separation now. I already did this before, but I will do it again one more time. Just let me get a brush and like pure black. Okay, so now I have to this here. It's clearly the foreground. This here. Yeah, okay, you can guess. This is the midground and this is the background. And if your landscape is working like this, yeah, it will work because our eyes just works that way. And if you don't have like this clear separation, things just won't work out. So this is one thing to look out, and this is why I have this adjustment layer every time, so I can see if I'm overdoing it somewhere. Like look for example at like see this area here, it's already a bit wonky because it features like a lot of contrasty areas, and you should have the most contrast in the foreground and not in the midground. So maybe I have to re-evaluate some of the things here, but yeah, I'll do that when I come to it. Okay. I do want to have some plant vegetation stuff here too, so I need to consider that. But I do want to erase the sketch lines first. But I mean, if you're at a stage like this, like when you have a fairly okay separation of tones and your composition is working, all those little detail things, they require like not much of your cognitive attention. It's just drawing and drawing again, and you don't really have to worry about a lot. So it's just really important to get the first things right, and this is also why I'm not overly fond of detailing stuff like to huge amount, because I always imagined that you don't learn as much, especially in the beginning. That's true, but now I'm kind of reaching a level where detailing becomes important too. So I don't think, even if how long did this take me? I think like at least 6 hours. I think more. I don't feel like I have wasted time or anything. On the contrary, I think it taught me quite a bit of things. Yeah, that's cool. I like to work in oil too. It's such a wonderful medium. I think you can tell by my style that I'm not really like a watercolor guy. No, I like acrylics and oils. Gouache is okay, it's about in the middle. But actually I just recently rediscovered analog media for me. For like, I think 15 years I wasn't painting at all, like also not digitally. I just wasn't doing it. I just was focusing on music and on other stuff. Didn't feel like drawing, but then I kind of bought a Wacom tablet and now I'm in again. And now I use Twitch to share a bit of my process. I hope that's a bit interesting. Yeah, actually a lot of the stuff you hear in the background, that's just from me. I mean, obviously it's not not the best piece ever. It's a very old one, but yeah. Usually I do a lot of orchestral stuff and things like this. Lag. Oh, I'm sorry. Why do all of the bad things come up now? Let me look up a good one. I don't know. I think this is pretty nice. If it's too loud, just tell me and I will... Oh. Okay, I think I'm back online now, am I? Why doesn't this work? I think it works now. Now it works. I'm very sorry. Sorry for the disconnect. It works. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I don't know what happened there. My internet connection is pretty wonky today. Usually it doesn't do that. I don't know why. So sorry about that, but at least we're back online. As I was going to tell you, like, a lot of the stuff you hear in the background, it's all from me. Like, this is a bit Smetana inspired, I'd say. If it's too loud, just drop me a message and I will tone it down. No, it wasn't your fault. It's because I have a wonky connection today and I don't know why. Oh, it's great, okay. Ah, that's nice. Yeah, with the music stuff, I focus a lot on orchestral and like neo-romantic stuff, and I get it, this isn't the most popular music in the world. So I did stream a bit of composition videos too. I will also continue to do that. Last time I composed like a Chinese orchestra piece. I haven't really finished it, but I will also do some of the orchestration work. Thing with those is to do like a whole orchestration piece, it takes like a lot of time and usually more than I can stream, so it's a bit complicated and I haven't found like the best way to do it, but I will try to improve also with that. I should definitely have done that with the windows in another way. Now it's a bit tedious to do that. But that's okay. I'm pretty sure if it's zoomed out you won't see a lot of those like really dark black lines. But I have to remove them as much as possible. Oh, thanks so much. Glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, I tried walking different fields, and first I was really into painting, and I actually took art as one of my main subjects in school, and I really wanted to get into the whole art and design business, and I worked my ass off. I prepared a how do you call those things, like a portfolio? Yeah, on paper at least. I think nowadays it would be different, but back in the day that was on everything on paper. And I applied for a university and they rejected me, so I did what everybody in that position would do, that is completely stopping painting. No, I'm just joking. Yeah, but I pretty much didn't pursue that any further. But I always was so interested in music and stuff, and I also composed, like when I was 13 for the first time. I had a band and we were doing pretty good, so I said screw it, I just study musicology. So that's what I did, and I graduated and I never looked back. But then I always worked in educational psychology as a kind of student job. And what do I say? Now I do my PhD in educational psychology. So that's that. Yeah, life is very strange sometimes. You think you have a plan and you know what you want to do, but then life happens and everything changes a bit. But to be honest, I wouldn't change a thing. I mean, concerning this whole like job thing. Other things I might, but not this. So, do you want to pursue a career in arts? Or do you have already a job? Literature? Oh, that's cool. Oh, I hope you're doing well now. Yeah, animation is a very interesting topic for me too. I did some pixel art animation because I had a small team and we were going to do a pixel art game, and I still have all the assets, and also the project isn't like out of the world, it's just a bit delayed because yeah, we all have stuff to do. But there I looked a bit into animation and I think it's a fascinating topic. But I guess I just have to accept that I can't do everything at once. You just have to focus on something. But on the other hand, having a lot of hobbies isn't out of the question, so... Yeah, same. A lot of things. Life is what you do if you're along the way. Do I want to tone that down? I think I want. Or do I? I'm not so sure. The windows here. With this building here I have to be like extra careful. It really could mess down the values. Yeah, everything is a journey, especially life. And you basically think you have figured everything out, but you kinda haven't. Yeah, improvisation, exactly. Exactly that. And that can also, like, being able to improvise helps you in all kind of things. Like, a lot of stuff you do at work is a bit on the improvisational side. You also have to make plans, yeah, sure. But deal with situations you haven't anticipated is definitely very important, I'd say. Okay, before I go too much with that, let's just take a look at the whole image. I always do that when I'm zoning a bit out, because what can happen and what has kind of happened a bit here is that I overdo like certain color values. I think when I wait a moment. How do you have black and white? It's here. Okay. So yeah, you can see that this sticks out very much. So I have to basically do a marquee tool, and then I have to tone all the contrast down a bit. Oh, this one. Okay. I think that's already too much. Yeah, it still looks a bit dark, but I think it's okay. I think it's okay. Yeah, that's the dangerous thing. If you zone out too much, stuff like this happens. Yeah, it's better. I think so too. It's just the way our brain actually works. Like when you look at how our seeing really works, like the neurons transmitting. Yeah, first of all, the retina delivering the information to the chiasma opticum, and then to the corpus geneticulum laterale, and then the neurons in the visual cortex. Actually, all of that's psychology. But if you if you know how this works, you know that your brain tends to actually wanting to create more contrast than there actually is, like especially in those background elements. This just happens, and if you stare too long at particular place, this will happen, and it will ruin your picture if you're not careful. Yeah, I think now it works quite okay. Yeah, thank you. Thanks so much for checking by. Like I said, I want to see your streaming too. I will do that when you start one. And if you want to see me again at another stream, like I said, Friday and Sunday are my usual streaming days. Sometimes also on other days, but that's just a bit random. So, was a pleasure. I hope you're doing very, very well. Take care. Yeah, see you next time, as I say. I hope you're doing great. So many nice people here on Twitch. That's so nice. Only bad people I encountered here are the bots. Also, I kind of lost track of my time because the stream did break up at a point. So I think I'm now at about 1 hour and 40 minutes. So usually my streams go to 2 hours. I don't know if I will continue like a lot of the time back. It depends how how concentrated I am and how motivated I am. We'll see. We'll just see. think I should darken down this area quite a bit here. Yeah, it's too bright. Yeah, it works quite okay. Yeah, need to darken that down a bit. Basically, all I'm doing here is like drawing boxes and boxes over again. But if you do that and if you take your time with it, it will look quite cool. Like being able to draw boxes. Pretty important skill, pretty important. Oh, that's actually way too bright here, I think. Could be even darker. This no. I thought, but no. Okay, let me just have a quick look back at the whole thing. Yeah. It looks quite good. It looks quite good. I just have to work even more. Okay, let's just, because I made some huge changes there, let's just watch the whole thing again. Yeah. For the most part it's okay. I do wonder though if I was a bit overzealous with the blue here. I think I could. Yeah, those background buildings look okay, but I think this here should have a bit of a yeah, ochre tint. Sorry, hard for me to find what's there. An ochre tint, yeah. Okay, what happened there? This actually wasn't supposed to be there at all. Okay. Let's see how we can fix that a bit. Oh, God, what happened there? Okay, this is because this is way too dark. Yeah, I think this already helps. Does it? No, I'm back at square one. Actually, it's not that easy. I thought I could just bump that up a bit. But it's very easy to get the values wrong here. What was that? Like 30%, maybe 20%? Yeah, I'm not overly happy with this at the moment. Yeah, I think like I need this color here a bit more. Didn't mean to do that. Okay. And then I want to remove that. Okay. Actually, now would be a good time to introduce a layer, because now I can change that to color and then blend that in a bit. Yeah, I think that did the trick. Let me just go back and this does work. I'd say it does work. Actually, I haven't saved like in a long time, so let's save. Please don't crash on. Oh god, I'm always so full of anxiety when this thing saves and it takes a very long time. I always expect Affinity to crash. Let's hope this doesn't happen. What I also like when working with this like sketch in the picture is that you can get like easy, quick color value changes for free. This is quite nice. But as much as I like painting, I think if I just imagine I would have to do that for like a real job, and I stuck with this and I have to be finished with it tomorrow or something like this, I think I would go crazy. Is that okay? I think it is. I think I need some more darker values there. And this stuff. I need some darker value there, not a whole lot. It's still retaining the gray. Did Twitch just quit on me again? I don't know why that happens. Oh, sorry about that. I'm just a bit tired. I don't know, maybe I could do this all faster, but I don't know how. I still have to learn that trick. And for now, doing everything nice but at a slower pace, that's totally fine with me. I think I want to pronounce the edge here a bit. And this one here too. I think I will cut those out. I mean, they were ideas, but I think I want to focus on this building here. Even having this one I'm currently drawing, I'm not too sure if that's really the best call. But for now, let's just let them exist here. Why not? Okay, let's check out the image again. I actually quite like how this turned out and how it will continue to turn out once I get to the other parts of it, like especially this part is currently lacking. I think I need to focus on this first before doing stuff here, because this is so important for the picture. Yeah, well then, let's get rolling. I think this needs to be toned down a bit. how I should approach that. Yeah, this is the right color. Sorry about that. I kinda don't know why this always comes up. Some error with the wacom software, I think. I think I do need to... This is way too much, but I need to tone it down a bit, I think. Though, admittedly, it's a bit of a tough call. Okay, should definitely get rid of those stuff. Things like this stuff. I'm sorry. Can't concentrate. I should look out for these text elements. I couldn't figure out how to hide them. Let's just watch for those and get rid of them. Actually, with this one here, I'm still unsure if I want to keep that all in darkness or I don't know. It's a tough call. Okay, but let's just watch out for more random text information. Get rid of this. Damn it, everywhere. Okay. Is anything here? I can't spot anything yet. Okay, let's look at the whole picture again. Yeah, it's constantly getting better. I'm really pleased with the progress we've made so far. So, I think it's now almost 2.5 hours. I'm getting a bit tired. So, I say let's just save and stop for now here. And we will get back to the drawing in the next stream. I hope you're all doing well. So, this is it. Goodbye, take care.